Red Bull, despite Max Verstappen starting 15th in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, have once again obliterated the competition, showing why they are shoo-ins to win it all this season. But the internal rivalry between Verstappen and teammate Sergio Perez appears to be pressing on, as they showed intentions of battling each other for first place during the race. Will Verstappen's obstacle towards his third Drivers' Championship actually be his own teammate? Here's the latest news from Red Bull. Prior to the F1 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Christian Horner disclosed that Red Bull had reached an agreement that permitted Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen to compete against each other without any restrictions, provided they maintained a fair and sportsmanlike approach. In Jeddah's second race of the 2023 season, Sergio Perez delivered an impressive performance by successfully fending off Max Verstappen's aggressive pursuit. This achievement led Red Bull to secure yet another 1-2 finish. Towards the end of the race, as Max Verstappen was making a comeback, Sergio Perez received instructions to reduce his speed momentarily. However, upon raising concerns about whether his teammate was given similar orders, Perez was reassured that he could race without any limitations until the finish line. If you remember, during the Sao Paulo Grand Prix of the previous year, there was a dispute between Perez and Verstappen over team orders, which resulted in Red Bull acknowledging their error as an effort to prevent any potential conflict between their drivers from carrying over into the current season. After the Grand Prix on Sunday, Christian Horner, the team principal of Red Bull, clarified their position regarding team orders by stating that they had deliberated on all possible scenarios during the pre-race briefing. When questioned about Sergio Perez's satisfaction with the team's choice not to intervene during the last few laps, Horner responded to Sky Sports F1, "I don't think he wanted that answer. We've got a great car and two great drivers. We talked about it in the briefing earlier today. You're free to race, but you keep it clean. But they're both competitive." Checo, that was, I think, his greatest Grand Prix. When commenting about his team's second 1-2 finish, he said, "The team, all credit to them, have built an incredible car. We thought we had an issue with Max, checked the data, and then they were hard at it again. They were both pushing hard and Max got the fastest lap of the race, but what a weekend for him. No fault of his own yesterday with the drive shaft. 15th, he was patient, he picked the cars off, so a phenomenal recovery from him." And regarding Max Verstappen's car issue, this is what he had to say. "We don't know it was the drive shaft today. He heard a noise, he reports that, and you immediately think of the failure yesterday. He reported a high-pitched noise at high speed, so we check all the data, and Milton Keynes as well, looking at all the channels we have, and we couldn't see anything." Something like that, at that stage, could be catastrophic, but we looked at the data and saw nothing, so we said to the drivers, "Free to go." Although Max Verstappen was content with his performance during Sunday's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, he remained dissatisfied with finishing second and urged Red Bull to resolve their reliability issues, which had impacted their Jeddah weekend. Due to a driveshaft problem, Verstappen was eliminated in Q2 during qualifying, causing him to start the race in 15th position. He was asked about his expectations regarding how long Red Bull could maintain their lead over the other 9 teams, to which he responded, "Well, I hope of course a long time, but it's not only about the pace of the car. We need to make sure we are reliable without any issues. My first weekend was not very clean because of just the big balance shift from testing to the race weekend. Some other things which were going on in the background, and now again after 3 positive practice sessions, of course I have an issue in qualifying. Of course, I recovered to second, which is good, and in general, the whole feeling in the team, everyone is happy. But personally, I'm not happy, because I'm not here to be second. Especially when you are also working very hard back at the factory to make sure you arrive here in a good state, making sure everything is spot on, and then you have to do a recovery race, which I like. I mean, I don't mind doing it, but when you are fighting for a championship and it looks like it's between 2 cars, we have to make sure the 2 cars are reliable." When asked if he had P2 in mind entering the race, he said, "I never really think about it, but I think realistically, with or without the safety car, I think P2 was the highest possible. The beginning, the first few laps were really hard to follow cars because of the street circuit, the fast corners, the walls are all very close. You get kind of a tailwind effect, and the car is a bit all over the place. After a few laps, it all started to settle in a bit better, and I could pick them off one by one, and the pace was good. The safety car, of course, helped me a bit to get back in the race, but even with that in the restart, you just lose too much time to Checo, for example. So, once I got into P2, it was quite a decent gap on a track where there is not a lot of deg. During the latter part of the race, Verstappen was overheard expressing concerns about a possible driveshaft problem with his car. Although the team claimed that they were unable to identify any issues, this was sufficient for Verstappen to abandon his pursuit of Perez for the victory. I tried to close the gap a bit, but at one point, I picked up these vibrations on the driveshaft. "On the rear," said Verstappen. The team could not see anything, but I'm fairly sure there was something odd going on with the balance since the vibrations started to kick in. At one point, I did the calculations. I wouldn't have been able to close that gap to the end with only 10 laps left, so at one point, I think it is more important to just settle for second, not having an issue with the car. Lewis Hamilton, who was well versed in domination, having experienced it for several years with Mercedes, expressed that he had never witnessed a car as fast as the one in question. Speaking on Red Bull this season, he said, "When we were fast, we weren't that fast. That is the fastest car I have seen compared to the rest." His team boss Toto Wolff, however, does not share the same sentiment. He said, "We have had those years when we were as strong. It is a meritocracy. Even if it is not great for the show that the same guys win all the time, it is because they have done a good job and we haven't. We shouldn't downtalk it, because I remember hearing questions like that in 2014 to 2020, and what makes the sport so special is that you need to work hard to win, and you deserve it as a matter of fact. Entertainment follows sport. It is maybe not good from the commercial side, but it is what makes F1 so special." Red Bull's development of the design that enabled Verstappen to break the record for the most wins in a season last year has elevated the team to a superior level, as noted by Charles Leclerc of Ferrari, and is poised to become one of the most extraordinary F1 cars in history. This latest masterpiece is another testament to the exceptional leadership of Adrian Newey, widely recognized as the sport's most distinguished designer. Horner acknowledged that even Red Bull was taken aback by the magnitude of their lead following the race. When asked whether he knew why they have such a significant advantage over competitors, he responded, "Not really, but you can only focus on yourselves." And all testament to the team in Milton Keynes, who have done a wonderful job over the winter. It has been the best start to a season we've ever had. Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso, who has been the unexpected standout of the season with the team that placed 7th in the previous year, has realistic expectations about his ability to frequently compete with Red Bull. However, he does sense the opportunity to secure his first victory in a decade. Alonso highlighted that Red Bull is likely to face issues with reliability or other factors in at least one race, as was evident from Verstappen's struggles during qualifying in Jeddah. "We need some help from them," Alonso said. "But it will happen eventually. They cannot always finish first and second. At some circuits maybe reliability or whatever could help us, and hopefully, in those races, we take the opportunity." And that's it from Red Bull. With both of their drivers earning a win in the first 2 races, who do you think will come out on top? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for more F1 news.